What we know is that there are around from 100,000 to 140,000 people trapped in Mariupol who are constantly under shelling and under bombardment, and who are trapped by Russian soldiers in the city, without water, without communication, without food supply or any humanitarian aid. A lot of these people are sheltering in public areas because their houses were destroyed. They cannot receive any aid. And right now, we know that Russian soldiers are trying to implement a so-called passportization. So they try to filtrate the population and see who is collaborating with Ukraine, who supports Ukraine. And this kind of filtration we've already seen in our history. And it's something really bad for the population, because it means that they will try to cleanse the population according to their political views.
And I was reading this morning reports from the mayor of Mariupol that Russian troops are issuing movement passes for people who remain in the city. So they have to queue up sometimes for many hours to be given a pass that allows them to move around the city.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. That's the filtration. They are preparing the population for passportization. And we've already seen that in Donbass, and that's what they are doing in occupied territories, to mark people who they do not see as reliable. And we also know that they will try to identify men who collaborated or are somehow affiliated with the military. And they openly said in their propaganda, but also in their official sources, that they will kill this man. And we already know about dozens and hundreds of civilians being killed there.
Now, as I said in the introduction, you're in Odessa, and we understand that Russian shelling and airstrikes have hit multiple targets in multiple cities, including Mykolaiv, which is near the port of Odessa. So what is it like where you are this morning? Bring us right up to date.
Yes, I woke up around 4:40. There was an air raid alert. This air raid alert lasted for a few hours, and it was not only in Odessa, but in Mykolaiv Oblast, all around the east, and also in western regions of Ukraine. It's not only Mykolaiv that was hit, but also Lviv. Had 4 or 5 missiles that hit this morning. Also, Dnipro Oblast was hit, and east of Ukraine is targeted as well, and Kyiv Oblast. So it's all around Ukraine. Right now, I'm in Odessa. I haven't seen any news about anything being targeted here, but of course, we never know, and we know that Russia is trying to take a revenge after this cruise, after the warship sank. So we have to be ready for anything.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, it was their most prominent warship, Russia's most prominent warship, which they lost, and they have said that they will retaliate. Is there a real sense in the east of Ukraine right now that it is over the next week that is going to be when things really step up with bombardment from the Russians?
Yes, the head of the military administration, Serhiy Haidai, is already talking about. He's asking the population to evacuate immediately, because he says this is the last. These are the last days when you can evacuate, actually, and it could be your last days if you don't, because Russia is heavily shelling some of the towns in east of Ukraine, also those who are connecting the east with the south, and it's preparing for a bigger attack. And that's what the military administration is saying, that we have to be ready for severe, even worse shellings and attacks this week.
And when you speak to people in the east of the country, either face to face or on the phone, how are they coping? How are they preparing? Are many deciding to flee, or are they deciding that actually they want to stay there?
A lot of people have already left. We've seen these calls for evacuation earlier, and hundreds of people fled to the west. As we've seen, some evacuation plans failed, since Russia also targets civilians and these evacuation points precisely. So after these points were targeted, a lot of people were afraid to evacuate. Some of them think that it's safer to stay than to go, but that's actually not true, because if we have the situation like it developed in Mariupol, it will be even more dangerous because we don't know how long they will have to stay in the basements, and whether they will be able to survive the bombardment. So I think a lot of people are kind of getting used to the situation of war, but it's bad for their estimation of their risks, like to stay there.
Yeah, it must be absolutely terrifying deciding whether you stay or you leave and what is best for you and your family. You mentioned Mariupol there again. We know, of course, that the deadline issued by Russia for Ukrainian defenders to leave the city on Sunday was ignored. The resilience and the bravery of people remaining in Mariupol is quite incredible to see, isn't it?
Yes, to us it's incredible, but also not surprising, because Ukrainians know that they have to fight to survive. And I think everyone realizes if Mariupol falls, that will be a big loss for Ukraine. That's why a lot of people are appealing to the president and mothers of these Azov defenders. They sent a letter to the president asking to send some help. But as we've seen, the response from the president was that Ukraine was trying to do everything it can. And in the current situation of war on different front lines, it seems to be impossible to do something at this point. But these people obviously are ready to stay there. And I saw messages, like public messages from them, that they are ready to die, and they realize that may be their last day on Earth.
Thank you ever so much for speaking to us this morning, and do stay safe. That is Iryna Matviyishyn, who is a freelance journalist who currently is in Odessa.